Welcome, Crusader fans, to this week's edition of the Valpo Coaches Show. I'm Brad Culligan, joined today by head men's soccer coach Mike Avery. Coach, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Brad.
As we look through the first four matches, no surprise, a lot of again close matches. All four have been decided by a goal or less. What have you seen from your team these first couple weeks?
Yeah, it's been, I think, about what we expected. We have a really new group. I think we have 18 out of 33 guys weren't here last year, and so there's a lot of changes within the roster. We have a strong core of returning players, but we're also utilizing a lot of people that weren't here before. And I think it takes some time for that to gel, and I think in the early part of the season we play a hard schedule. We do that purposely, and it exposes our faults, it shows us our strengths, and I think we're starting to figure out who we are. Every single game that we've played, there's moments there's flashes that come out and you're like, wow, we can really play. And then in the same game, there's moments where we're pulling our hair out on the sideline trying to figure it out. And I think all of this is natural, and it's going to take some time. And really the goal is to keep growing through the early part of the non-conference season. We've got one more game left and then a week to play our opener at Detroit in the Horizon League. And that's really when we want to try and be hitting our stride, is when we get into the league play.
And as you talk about that schedule heading into league play, next three road matches coming up. You'll be at IUPUI on Friday before at Detroit. What do you expect from the league this season on the pitch?
Yeah, I think it's every year since I've been here, it's gotten more difficult and more difficult, and I think that's continuing. The trend is continuing. Every team has gotten better. You look at their results outside of the league play, and our league has really firmly planted itself up as one of the upper tier leagues in the Midwest. Teams like Oakland are off to a great start. Wright State is a very good team this year. And you can go right down through the list. And we added Northern Kentucky, who's also started off very well. And so I think it's going to be a competitive league. I think every season it's been, you have teams that go from the bottom to the top and from the top to the bottom, and there's just a few points that separate, who makes the tournament and who doesn't make the tournament. I think we were fifth last year. In the regular season, we were 1 point out of third. Not one game, 1 point. And so it's just it's a really tight race. Everything is valuable, and so we're trying to gear up for that and hopefully be ready for it when it comes.
And to touch upon an earlier point again, a roster heavy with rookies. How do you expect them to come along further in practice, or has it been more of a baptism by fire?
A little bit of both. It was kind of an interesting preseason just because we had a little bit of a disjointed preseason. We had some guys come late with international duty with their national teams. We had some guys that came late because of eligibility issues with the NCAA that took a while to clear up. We had some guys come in with some injury from summer soccer from the teams that were playing. And so it wasn't as smooth of a preseason as you'd like. But it is what it is, and so we are trying to use the early games now as some teaching that we maybe had liked to have done during the preseason, but it is what it is. And so there's nothing that replicates game, and so I think we're throwing a lot of guys on. We're playing a little bit deeper into the squad than we maybe would like to, or maybe will as we get down later in the season. But I think they're doing really well. Again, I think in moments the soccer has never looked better. And so I think the talent and the potential is there. And they are rookies in terms of being to Valpo, but they're all experienced players. And so I think there's a lot of things that they can bring to the table and help us grow and help us change as we're helping them get acclimated. So it might take some time, but I think in the next couple of weeks we're going to see us really turn a corner.
Who are some of your primary leaders on this team? Again, Nico Campbell in net, he's been a mainstay back there for a while. Who are some of the other leaders that this coaching staff?
I think when we talk leadership, interesting. We only have 3 seniors on the team, but they play a really critical role. Jordan Abdu, and then Jacob Gandaria, and then Jorge Bermudez. These are 3 guys that have been here for a while now, and they're seniors, and they're older, and they understand things. We also rely heavily on Omar Lawrence, who's a captain, and he plays in the middle of the back, and he's got the loudest voice on the field, and also off the field. He's just a real strong leader. And so these guys really set the tone. But again, we graduated 10 seniors from a year ago. And not all of them played a lot of minutes, but they all were very important to the team. And we lost what I call a lot of institutional knowledge of just how things are done.
Sure.
Who picks up the locker room, and how do we run this drill, and what time do we show up. And so there's a lot of those kinds of lessons that are still being taught every day. And the group's getting it, and they're a great group of kids, and they're really trying to get it. And it just takes some time.
Good. Look forward to your team's progress the next couple of weeks. Again, the next 2 weeks you'll be away from Brownfield, but we'll check back in with you in a couple of weeks, see how the first couple league matches have gone.
Great.
Okay, thanks for your time. You can follow Valpo Men's Soccer on Twitter at VUMSO, and for all your soccer and athletics needs, check out ValpoAthletics.com. For Brad Colligan and Coach Avery, this has been the Valpo Coaches Show, and go Crusaders.